Chapter 232. Xiao Ling, upon hearing the divine tree's words, felt a pang of reluctance, but the divine tree resolutely insisted that she step aside, even shouting, "Retreat now." Xiao Ling, having no other choice, remembered that she had not yet been backed into a corner in this battle. She didn't want to retreat, but she also knew that when facing a final boss like the Dark King, there was no such thing as being backed into a corner. There was only instant death, and the opponent wouldn't even realize it. This was why the divine tree was so adamantly demanding her immediate retreat. He, overhearing this exchange, quickly understood that this girl was too important to the divine tree. With a mocking tone, he said, "Divine tree, are you so afraid that little girl will die?" At this moment, the Dark King's entire presence became more formidable and tyrannical than ever before. An endless abyss of darkness continuously poured from the body of his one-eyed black bear form. However, all he heard was a whistling wind, and the divine tree appeared before him like a bolt of lightning, delivering a punch while cursing, "You bastard, shut up." It was clearly an uppercut aimed at the chin, a critical strike. Surprisingly, the Dark King was even faster. He used his glowing claws to counterattack the attacking arm, shattering it completely. The Dark King's face gleamed with satisfaction as he anticipated the divine tree's reaction, believing that close combat with his new form gave him a significant advantage. The divine tree's arm had been torn apart, but nothing could surprise the divine tree anymore. The moment he saw this form, he knew its close combat strength was terrifying. It utilized the principle of channeling spiritual energy through the body of a solitary panda, an extremely effective method of qi and spiritual energy manipulation, making each strike several times more powerful than one's own strength. Before the divine tree could regenerate the arm, he directly used his roots, transforming them into wooden dragons to attack the enemy. The Dark King responded with 8 slashes of his claws, leisurely and eagerly confronting the divine tree. At this moment, he no longer feared the divine tree's terrifying close combat strength. If his initial magma form was like a mage, then this form was that of a warrior. The divine tree's roots were easily sliced away by his sharp slashes, despite their enhanced state. This scene made the divine tree curse, "Damn you!" The divine tree realized that his strength had completely changed, rendering all previous combat strategies useless. It felt as though his defense and attack stats were overwhelmingly powerful, unlike his initial form. Suddenly, the eye on the Dark King's face lit up, accompanied by a strong hiss echoing through the space. Gravity was unleashed, a tremendous force pulling the divine tree's body to the ground. This attack was undoubtedly stronger than that of the ox demon. The divine tree's legs began to sink, crushing the ground beneath them. Even parts of his body not tightly connected to the main form were torn apart by this terrifying gravitational force. The divine tree braced itself to resist, knowing that if it didn't, the worst-case scenario would occur. As soon as the divine tree was pinned to the ground, a finishing blow would strike and end the battle. Seeing that the divine tree was still standing, the Dark King wasted no time unleashing his next ultimate skill, the Breath of the Dragon King. This was an ultimate skill compared to the dragon's breath. While the dragon's breath created widespread damage, this attack had a smaller destructive radius, but anyone hit by it was sure to perish. The divine tree was well aware of this and had to stop him at all costs. That's when Dominion of Light was unleashed. A brilliant golden beam shot straight from the sky, striking the Dark King. His body was immediately torn apart in places. Light remained the most lethal attribute against the Dark King, but with his immense defense, he managed to mitigate much of the damage, though he still felt considerable pain. The divine tree knew that light was not constrained by gravity, so this attack could be used effectively. It's worth noting that when the divine tree was still human, he never missed a physics class, which now infuriated the Dark King. "Damn it, I didn't expect you to be so knowledgeable about human science." "How infuriating," he cursed loudly. He then opened his system and purchased a new skill, this time selecting Extinction. But what is Extinction? Just hearing the name sounds dangerous. From the enormous skylight, a meteor hundreds of meters in diameter was descending, blazing intensely. If this meteor struck the divine tree, it would turn to ashes. This was truly an extinction-level event, reminiscent of the tragedy that befell the dinosaurs tens of millions of years ago. The divine tree sensed the increasing heat above and looked up. The meteor was now less than 1,000 meters from the ground, leaving the divine tree only seconds to act. The Dark King's mocking voice echoed once more, "Choose now. Flee or die here with your people." The divine tree, however, was unhurried, responding that even in death, it would fight him. "Do not underestimate me so," the divine tree retorted. His entire body began to heat up, enveloped in a golden aura. Whether it was due to the meteor's close proximity or the divine tree's activation of a skill, gigantification, the Dark King felt these words were defiant. "Let's see what you can do," he roared, eager to witness what the divine tree would do in this dire situation. At this moment, the divine tree had grown larger than the bunker itself, raising both hands to brace against the monstrous meteor. If this attempt failed, the entire coastline would be obliterated, with no exotic beasts surviving the onslaught. The exotic beasts had ceased fighting, their primal instincts roaring with warnings of imminent danger, a fear deeply ingrained in their nature. The divine tree let out a thunderous roar. 9 roots. Simultaneously, 9 massive roots, each with a diameter of several meters, shot up to intercept the blazing meteor. The entire space and land quaked violently, with any creature nearby facing the threat of being torn apart by the meteor's sheer pressure. The divine tree continued to strain every muscle, shouting, "I will absolutely not let you destroy this planet." The meteor pressed down, colliding with the top of the bunker. Upon contact with any material devoid of spiritual energy, the meteor began to explode, producing a dazzling, blinding light visible from kilometers away. Beneath it, the divine tree had not surrendered. His deafening screams echoed persistently. Finally, the meteor crashed into the ground. The resulting explosion was cataclysmic, as if the earth itself was being torn apart. Huge, searing hot rocks were flung everywhere, instantly crushing thousands of exotic beasts. The scene was reminiscent of the dinosaur extinction event 65 million years ago. Massive beasts, akin to dinosaurs, could not escape their fate. General Kangaroo, witnessing this, cursed under his breath, "Damn it!" His battle with the nine-tailed fox was halted abruptly. The fox herself was clueless about what was transpiring. Ching Chong started using his earth element control to erect small bunkers to protect himself and his comrades, but it required continuous effort since the earth walls were quickly destroyed. Cheesy sought a higher vantage point to observe the devastation. He had never seen such apocalyptic destruction. Every few meters, a rock would crash down. From the bunker, a tremendous beam of light shot into the sky. Cheesy clenched his teeth, feeling the overwhelming force of the spiritual power. He remarked, "What a terrifying spiritual power." From the very beginning of the Master's battle, the Dark King had enveloped the area with his spiritual energy, so I couldn't sense it at all. This, then, was the divine tree's spiritual power. As the bunker was destroyed, the released power surged out, approaching what could only be described as infinite. This surge of spiritual energy caused everything around to tremble. At this moment, they couldn't even sense the presence of the Dark King anymore. Damn it! Was the divine tree really this powerful? Cheesy saw nothing but a screen of dust and smoke before him. Everything else had vanished. The strong ones could only release their own spiritual energy to detect each other's presence. The Thunder Dragon of Misty Mountain was panting heavily, having survived the cataclysmic event. But where was his opponent, his father? There, his father lay dead, surrounded by dozens of searing hot meteors. The enormous body of the Elder Dragon had been crushed by a meteor. The Thunder Dragon and Purple Scythe emerged from their shelter. It turned out that during the previous battle with Purple Scythe, the Black Dragon had been cleverly cut on the wing tendons and the hamstrings, preventing it from escaping the meteor shower. The Thunder Dragon looked at his dead father and began to sob, calling out to him. No, his father wasn't completely dead yet. He opened his eyes, but they were no longer blood-red, just normal dragon eyes. Had he broken free from the Dark King's control? It was unclear, but he looked peaceful. He whispered something, and the Thunder Dragon had to lean down to hear. "Are you my son? Your spiritual energy. It resembles your mother's so much." "You've grown up well," he said, and then the Black Dragon closed his eyes and took his last breath. He was a good father, having done everything so his child could live well. According to Kangaroo, he had wanted to establish himself as king and was hunted down by Australia. He entrusted his eggs to humans, hoping his children would have a brighter future. Dragons, with emotions and intelligence akin to humans, could feel deeply. The Thunder Dragon started crying. These final words were from his father, and even when his father was under the Dark King's control, he could still feel the warmth of a father's love emanating from him. The bond between father and son was indeed noble. The Thunder Dragon's sobs grew louder and louder, tears and snot flowing like rain, and his mournful roar echoed through the sky. Back at the bunker, the dust had settled considerably, revealing a massive crater with smoke billowing out of it. Xiao Ling approached the crater, calling out for her master, her heart filled with indescribable worry. This scene reminded her of that day in the Misty Mountain Ravine, when humans had dropped an atomic bomb, so despairing. Xiao Ling had died that time, but thanks to the Divine Tree system, everything had been restored. This time was different, though, as the Divine Tree was still there, albeit breathing heavily. Half of his body had been torn apart, and he had reverted to his original form. The Dark King seized this moment, unleashing the combo he had just acquired. The Red Lotus combined with a blazing body, the ultimate technique of Chi-Zi the Panda. He charged forward at supersonic speed, intending to use a single strike to reduce the Divine Tree to dust. His speed surprised even the Divine Tree. It was too fast. With his body not yet regenerated, how could the Divine Tree resist? In the blink of an eye, the Dark King was right in front of him, roaring and attacking with full force. But the Divine Tree was not to be underestimated. Using his remaining arm, he channeled all the lightning element within his body to form a sharp blade, thrusting it directly into the enemy's eye. The attack was powerful enough to blow the Dark King's body away. The Divine Tree, following the recoil of his strike, slid back, realizing that the Dark King was still standing there, screaming in rage and ferocity. He truly was a bloodthirsty monster, with one of his eyes now split in two. "One way or another, this world will meet its end," the Dark King shouted, "and there's nothing you can do to stop it." End of chapter 232.